Dear and beloved students, welcome back to our class on chapter 2, the second part, that is the soil temperature. Today we are going to discuss what is soil temperature, what is the importance of soil temperature on cropland, like variations in air temperatures, what are the variations in soil temperature, then factors affecting soil temperature divided into two, that is meteorological factors, soil factors. That's what we are going to discuss. I would like to tell a small story to you before we discuss the soil temperature in two classes. First class, what we are going to discuss, I told you. Now, very small story. A snake made his hole close to the house of a farmer. On a very unfortunate day, it inflicted a mortal damage. It bit the farmer's son. It bit the farmer's son, who is a very small boy. Grieving over the loss of his son, the farmer resolved to kill the snake. The next day, when it came out of its hole, the farmer took up his axe. But by swinging too hastily, he missed its head and cut off only the end of its tail. So, after some time, the farmer started so much of uneasiness because he is afraid of the snake, that the snake would bite him also. So, it is not coming out, half of the tail is cut, okay, almost half of the body, but it is alive. Now, the farmer thought, why unnecessarily I should have a quarrel with the snake? So, he wanted to make peace and placed some food, some milk in the hole of the snake. But the snake, slightly hissing, said, there can henceforth be no peace between us. There is no peace between us, because whenever I see you, I shall remember the loss of my tail, and whenever you see me, you will be thinking of the death of your younger son. So, there can henceforth be no peace between you and me. What is the meaning? What is the moral of the story is, no one truly forgets injuries in the presence of him who caused the injury. Another lesson from this story is, injuries may be forgiven but not forgotten. So, why to injure? Why to hurt anybody? Okay, good. So, let's go into the class. Now, in this class, we are interested to learn the second part of chapter 3, that is soil temperature. So far in the small 3 lectures, okay, basics 1, basics 2 and basics 3, we tried to understand air temperature. Okay, now soil temperature. Soil temperature is one of the most important factors that influences crop growth. The sown seeds, plant roots and microorganisms live in the soil. The physico-chemical as well as life processes are directly affected by temperature of the soil. Under the low soil temperature conditions, nitrification is inhibited and the intake of water by roots is reduced. In a similar way, extreme soil temperatures injures plant and its growth is affected. This is the importance of soil temperature. Now, let us go further details into the importance of soil temperature on the cropland. This is what is soil temperature in general. So far we discussed. Soil temperature is one of the most important factors that influences the crop growth. Okay? Plant lives in soil, it also lives in air. Most of the plants, 99.9% of the plants cannot move. They are static there only. So, plant has to survive by standing itself there only. Okay? So, it has to face soil temperature effects, it has to face air temperature effects. Now, so let us discuss what is the importance of soil temperature on croplands. Soil temperature influences croplands in many of its processes. Soil temperature governs the uptake of water, nutrients, etc. needed for photosynthesis. Soil temperatures control soil microbial activities. Soil temperature influences the germination of seeds and development of roots. It plays a vital role in mineralization of organic forms of nitrogen. It influences the presence of organic matter in the soil. It affects the speed of reactions and consequently weathering of minerals. Soil temperature also influences soil structure. Types of clay formed. Okay, for example, it is the one of the soil structures. Okay, now this is the importance of soil temperature of cropland. Starting from soil temperature governs the uptake of water and nutrients to the soil temperature affects the speed of reactions and consequently weathering of minerals. Okay, so this is the importance of soil temperature. Like factors affecting the air temperature we discuss. Before that, the way in which we discussed in the variations in air temperature, we also discuss variations in the soil temperature. Okay, now there are two types of soil temperature variations. One is daily variations of soil temperature. In a day, how the soil temperature variate. The next one is the seasonal variations of soil temperature. So let us discuss what is the first one, daily variations of soil temperatures. Usually daily variations in a day of 24 hours, the variations of soil temperature occurs at the surface of the soil only, and surface of the soil only. Daily variations occur only near the surface. For example, if the surface temperature of the soil is say 30, if you go to 5 centimeter depth, the change exceeds. That means as you go from the surface of 30 going down, within 5 centimeter depth you will find 10 degrees centigrade. This is the variation. 30 degrees on the surface, just 5 centimeters depth, minimum 10 degrees centigrade decrease will be there. At 20 centimeters if you go, it is less. When surface temperature is 30, at 5 centimeters is 20. But when you go to 20 centimeters depth, the change is not 10 degrees centigrade. It may be 2 to 3 degrees centigrade. So this is the daily variations of temperature at the surface level. Of course, on cooler days, the changes are smaller due to increased heat capacity as the soils become wetter on these days. On cool days, the soils become wetter, so the changes are smaller. On a clear sunny day, very hot day, A bare soil surface is hotter than the air temperature. This is what I would like to say. The last point I am interested to impress upon on daily variations of soil temperature is the time of peak temperature of soil reaches earlier than the air temperature. The time of the peak temperature of soil reaches, tell me, the time of the peak temperature of the soil reaches earlier than the air temperature. It is due to lag of air temperature. What is the meaning of lag of air temperature? Soil becomes solid. It gets heated up quicker. By 12:30, soil temperature reaches higher. But the air temperature becomes more by 2:30 or 3 o'clock. So, this is what we call it as the temperature lag. So, as far as the daily variation of soil temperature is concerned, these are the things that you should remember. Coming to seasonal variations of soil temperature in a season or between the seasons. Usually, seasonal variations occur much deeper into the soil, not on the surface. Daily variations on the surface. Seasonal variations much deeper. When the plant canopy is fully developed, that means when the soil surface is covered by a crop, the seasonal variations are smaller. In winter, the depth to which the soil freezes depends on the duration and severeness of the winter. Okay, soil freezes depends on the severeness of the winter. In summer, however, the soil temperature variations are much more than winter, usually in tropics and subtropics. So, these are the variations in soil temperature, daily variations in soil temperature, seasonal variations in soil temperature. Now, in this class, from your examination point of view, from your knowledge point of view, very interesting topic, subtopic we are discussing is factors affecting the soil temperature. Now, the factors that are affecting the soil temperatures are broadly divided into two. One, meteorological factors. Two, soil factors. Among the meteorological factors, the first one is solar radiation. The amount of solar radiation available at any given location and point of time is directly proportional to soil temperature. Once again, I will tell, the amount of solar radiation is directly proportional to soil temperature. What exactly does it mean? More the solar radiation, more the soil temperature. Now, why it is so? Even though a part of total net radiation is available, is utilized in evapotranspiration and heating the air by radiation. That's what we call the latent heat and sensible heat fluxes that we discuss after in the next class of soil temperature. Now, sensible heat and latent we discuss. Now, a relatively substantial amount of solar radiation is utilized in heating up of the soil. That's what we call it as the ground heat flux, depending upon the nature of the surface. What exactly does it mean? Even though a part of the total net radiation available is utilized in evapotranspiration and heating the air by radiation, a relatively substantial amount of solar radiation is utilized in heating up of the soil, that is ground heat flux. Okay. Now, the second meteorological factor is wind. Air convection or wind is necessary to heat up the soil by conduction from the atmosphere. What exactly does it mean? Wind, okay, is very important weather element because air convection or wind is necessary to heat up the soil by conduction. Now, the third one, evaporation and condensation. The greater the rate of evaporation, the more the soil is cooled. This is the reason for coolness of moist soil in windy conditions. That means when windy conditions are existing, a wet soil becomes much cooler. On the other hand, whenever water vapor from the atmosphere or from the soil depths condenses, the soil, it heats up noticeably. It heats up very noticeably because the freezing of water generates heat. Okay, that is how evaporation and condensation. Evaporation makes the soil cool. Condensation makes the soil heater. Okay, the next weather element is rainfall. Depending upon its temperature, precipitation can either cool or warm the soil. So there are two types of rains: warm rains, warm clouds rains, cool cloud rains, that we discuss in the rainfall chapter. So as far as factors affecting the soil temperature are concerned, the first subheading in this is meteorological factors. Solar radiation. The amount of solar radiation is directly proportional to the soil temperature. Wind is essential. Air convection or wind is necessary. Okay, if the wind is hotter, the soil becomes hotter. Wind is cool, the soil becomes cool. That is the meaning of wind convection. Next one, evaporation condensation. Greater the rate of evaporation, more cool is the soil. On the other hand, when condensation occurs, the freezing of the water generates heat so that the soil becomes heat or hot. Okay, rainfall. Of course, depending upon the temperature of the rainfall, cold clouds, warm clouds. So, depending upon the rainfall, the soil temperature changes. Now, so let's go to the next subheading of the factors affecting the soil temperature. Okay, soil factors. Among the soil factors, there are altogether 5: aspect and slope, soil texture, tillage and tilt, organic matter, soil moisture. Now, aspect and slope. What is meant by aspect and slope? In the middle and high latitudes, that means away from the equator of the northern hemisphere is known as land hemisphere. The southern slopes receive more insolation per unit area than the northern exposure slopes. The next soil factor is soil texture. Because of lower heat capacity and poor thermal conductivity, sandy soils warm up more rapidly than clay soils because of lower heat capacity and poor thermal conductivity. The sandy soils warm up more rapidly than clay soils. This is seen in the desert areas. Tillage and tilt. Third soil factor is tillage and tilt. By loosening the topsoil and creating a mulch, tillage reduces heat flow between the surface and the subsoil. What exactly happens? When you lose the topsoil, okay, the surface area of the topsoil granules increases. So, by loosening the topsoil and creating a mulch, this is what we call the tillage. So, this tillage reduces heat flow between the surface and the subsoil. Since the soil mulch has a greater exposure surface than the undisturbed the soil and no capillary connection between moist layers below and the cultivated soil dries up quickly by evaporation, but the moisture in the subsoil underneath the dry mulch is conserved. Of course, just I would like to tell you, by loosening the topsoil, creating a mulch, okay, the topsoil is warmer than the soil which is not loosened below it. This is the meaning of it. In general, the air 2 to 3 centimeters above the tilled soil is often hotter by approximately 10 degrees centigrade than that over an untilled soil. What exactly does it mean? On a very hot sunny day, there is a loose soil to your left side, there is a hard soil to your right side. My question is, on which soil you prefer to walk? By any mistake you do not have slippers. You won't go to the loose soil where it is very hotter than hard soil. So, a tilled soil is hotter than an untilled soil. This is the meaning of it. Now, organic matter. The addition of organic matter to a soil usually reduces its capacity and thermal conductivity. Of course, but the water holding capacity increases. The absorptivity of soil increases because of the dark color of the organic matter. That means when organic matter is added to the soil, it becomes darker. The darker the color, the smaller the fraction of reflected radiation. So thereby the dark soils and moist soils reflect less than the light colored and dry soils. Once again I will tell, organic matter addition changes the color of the soil. Addition of organic matter to a soil reduces heat capacity and thermal conductivity, but increases the water holding capacity. The last one is soil moisture. Soil moisture has an effect on heat capacity and heat conductivity. Moisture at the soil surface cools the soil through evaporation. Therefore, a moist soil will not heat up as much as dry one. Okay? A moist soil will not heat up as much as a dry soil surface or dry soil. So, these are the soil factors. Aspect and slope, soil texture, tillage and tilt, organic matter, finally soil moisture. So, in this class, we try to understand what is soil temperature, the importance of soil temperature on croplands, variation in soil temperature, daily variations, then seasonal variation, factors affecting the soil temperature, meteorological factors, soil factors. Thank you very much. We meet in the last class of soil temperature next time. Thank you.